Welcome to Expert ACM. Today we are going to continue with the 12th episode of warehousing and inventory management. If you are watching for first time, request you to go back to our previous session, which is all recorded and available as a playlist. So it will be meaningful if you watch all the sequence of this session in the given sequence that is always prepared. Assuming that you are working in a warehouse environment, either at a supervisory level or at a manager level, we are seeing step by step what are the operation carried out and how to manage the warehouse effectively in terms of inventory, possibly even the resources or equipment handling. So everything we have been seeing one by one. In this today's session, we are going to see a topic on various warehouse cost. So let us understand that. Allow me to attach a screen. So today we will understand what are the various costs involved in warehouse operation. For example, you are receiving a inquiry from your possible customer who says you need to provide some space and operate the warehouse for their requirement. Maybe if you are working in a 3PL environment, or even otherwise also, you should know how much it means to operate a warehouse. So how the various costs are incurred and how to allocate the cost for a particular customer. Especially all this becomes important as you grow in your career and become a warehouse manager. You should understand what are the relevant costs in the operation of a warehouse. So before we dive into the program, let me introduce myself. This is my Udemy profile. My name is Pattabhiraman. Of course, now I have nearly 5,000 candidates enrolled for various supply chain program in Udemy platform. And you are also welcome to connect or follow me in the LinkedIn profile. Of course, you can see this is my LinkedIn profile. Coming to warehousing cost, so we should know how much it costs to operate a particular warehouse operation for a particular customer. The cost of operating a warehouse can average between 1 and 5% of total sales, depending upon type of company and value of goods. So here you can see a big difference. 1 to 5% is a big variation, and the most effective should be at a lower end. And here we are comparing with the total of sales. Okay, generally I have seen anything below 3% is a very effective warehouse operation. But sometime due to special requirement, it may go up to 5%, or in the initial stage the operational cost will be high. So first you need to understand what are all the various cost element in a warehouse operation, how to calculate them. Then you have to put it customer wise. Maybe you may be in a position to sell the warehouse space along with the services. That's what happens in 3PL environment. So you should understand the costing requirement. And of course, within the logistic cost, warehouse is the second highest cost after transportation cost. Warehousing cost can be as high as 20 to 25%. And there are various types of cost in warehouse operation. It could start with the space. You have to include the space as the primary cost. Second one could be direct labor cost. Maybe in the warehouse operation, you are employing a lot of skilled and unskilled operator. They may be either doing manual work or even automated kind of a work. Nowadays, you may also see more skilled labors may be required. White collar operators are required. So you have to see whether they fall under direct labor cost or indirect labor cost. So you need to understand what is direct and indirect cost as well as fixed and variable cost. Let us see what are these costs in detail in the coming slide. Then of course next one is the equipment cost. If you are using any material handling equipment, then that becomes the part of your operation cost. Then variable direct and indirect labor and equipment cost, overhead cost, and miscellaneous cost. So when we talk about space cost, the cost of the space is something like a rental cost. Of course, this is going to change depending upon the location. When this warehouse is available in urban center, the cost of the space is very high. That is where you tend to move the warehouse, especially outside the urban area, so that the rental cost can be reduced. Next one is you should understand what is the difference between direct and indirect cost. Whatever directly goes into the product, maybe the people who are unpacking or picking, packing, those are all direct labor. Maybe indirect labor could be a supervisory role. When you have a manager or a financial executive or a HR executive, they come under indirect labor cost. Once again, there we have a breakup for direct fixed cost and variable cost. Fixed cost is something, even when you don't do any operation, there is a minimum expense which you have to do. For example, rental, you cannot give any discount even if there is no operation. So it becomes a part of a fixed operation. Unlike for example, if there is a excess load, you are normally receiving 10 truck load, and suddenly one day you have to receive additional 2 truck load, which means you are going to pay for overtime for the operator, which will become under a variable cost. So you need to have understanding about direct indirect cost and fixed and variable cost. And of course equipment cost will also come. For example, if you are using a forklift, you should have a hourly working cost. Generally in industry we have calculation for each of this, but if you are operating only in a standalone warehouse operation, you should find out a thumb rule: how much is the cost of the equipment, and how much is the operating cost, how much you are paying to the driver, all this to be calculated. When it comes to overhead cost, of course here we are talking about, for example, a electricity or a generator, all this comes under a overhead cost. And miscellaneous cost could be anything. For example, if you are raising any insurance claim, that may come under miscellaneous cost. So as a manager or a executive in warehouse, you need to understand all this cost, so that you are in a position to provide some feedback to the management. That's where ROI comes into picture. If I am a owner, I am a management executive, I would like to know, in the warehouse operation I am spending $10 million per month, so how much I am able to benefit. Okay, maybe you are going to charge it to your customer, maybe something more than your operational cost, then only the ROI comes into picture. Okay, ROI is a return on investment, is a measure to evaluate efficiency of the investment or to compare number of investment. If I am a owner and I have 10 million, I can take a call whether I should invest in this warehouse operation, or can I put it in directly in a bank or some other stock market or in some other business. This is where the calculation of return on investment becomes very important. It is given by the formula. Of course here we are talking as a margin is the sales after your cost of expenses divided by the cost of investment. Maybe here cost, maybe you can assume, if you are taking a interest rate from a bank, generally in India it could be 10% per annum, or even you can take roughly 1% as a monthly interest. In such case, the amount of expenditure you are doing, is it lower than this interest rate, then you will get the saving. And there is one more measure we use, is called PBB, payback period. Measures how long an investment takes to pay for itself. Maybe if I assume you are getting every year 25%, then the rate of return could be recovered within 4 years. So you need to have an understanding of this financial term, though you are not a financial guy. But in the warehouse operation, especially individual standalone warehouse operation, you should justify the investment. You should recover the money invested by the owner and pay back to him after all the expenses. Okay, but we should also have some understanding about what are the different costing methods available. Generally, what we use warehouse cost structure, for example, base cost is there as a percentage of total warehouse cost. You can see it takes a major 54% for a given instant. It could be different in your case, it can be 40% or 60%. You have to record it. Next becomes the labor cost. Here it could be salary, overtime, or other welfare measures. And you can see that's a second highest cost in the warehouse operation. Then equipment cost. You are using a forklift or other equipment. You have to give some notional cost for that. If you are working in any automated warehouse, this cost becomes higher than the labor cost. And then you have the overall cost. Of course, here you have to add the overhead cost. Maybe this includes executive or a supervisory level expenses. Apart from common expenses, it could be electricity, water, or some taxes were paid, where you may not be putting to each of this customer. That's where traditionally we have been approximately allocating the overhead cost to all the function. Okay, which is more of a rough estimation. Tend to allocate overhead cost arbitrarily as a percentage of cost. But nowadays you may see there are a lot of product and service complexity, and single overhead rate is no longer sufficient. And hence this kind of a traditional method will not work. So possibly as a warehouse manager, you should also know one more method called ABC method. Of course, this is not a inventory technique we are talking here, but it is a activity based costing. Okay, ABC also means activity based costing. It is designed in such a way that any cost that can be attributed directly to the product flow of the services that make them necessary. The cost of each activity then flows to the product that makes the activity necessary. So here we are going to study in detail each and every activity and the cost associated with it, whether it's a direct or indirect cost or fixed or variable cost. Of course, you need to have extra manpower to do even this costing estimation. So you need to justify this additional labor expense to calculate this ABC type of costing. Is it really essential, necessary for this operation, has to be found out. And for ABC, one should have a comprehensive knowledge of the company, its operation, the roles of each staff members. Anyone watching in the LinkedIn live, you can also type in any comments if you are interested in knowing any clarification. Hope my voice and the screen is clear. Okay, here the analysis of overhead is likely to be a more complicated form unless traditional we were doing arbitrarily. But here we have to link each of the activity to a particular customer or a product, then only charging can happen. So it is necessary to carry out in-depth step over a period of time in order to find relationship between overhead services and customer. Okay, some activity here, you can see what are the various warehouse activity, and what are their cost drivers are given. For example, in a warehouse you can have a order receipt, where the cost driver could be order volume and order source, unload incoming goods, quantity and unit load, palletize, quantity of cotton, check incoming goods. Like this, various activity in the warehouse is captured individually, either product wise or customer wise, and then the cost is estimated. Okay, you can see, for example, if you have a customer A to F, so each of the customer wise we have to allocate in terms of number of pallets, and how much is the labor hour involved, and also you are going to put some material handling equipment, how many hours, administration hour. So here we are talking either product wise or customer wise, how much we are spending in terms of labor hours and also the equipment hour, and then finally we need to get the overall cost. Okay, the maybe it looks a bit complicated, but this may be required by some organization, especially in the recession period. The cost pressure will come, and also this will help in quoting the right price to the customer, or even for the product valuation, the right price will always help the product pricing. Okay, so if you are using a shared warehouse, there also we need to have some calculation, something similar, like you are unloading a trailer and taking it to rack, put away in rack, and then how much you have to charge to the customer. This can be in individual warehousing. All this becomes important. But if you are a warehouse in charge, so you need to calculate various cost elements. Storage cost could be rate per cubic feet per month, rate per ton per month. Anyway, it can be calculated. Then receipt, handling, and dispatch charges. So logistic charging method could be open book based on total transparency between supplier and customer, and cost plus contract. Maybe if you are willing to share your cost element, you can tell your customer clearly, this is my cost and I am going to charge a margin above this level. That is called cost plus contract. Or closed book contract, here mostly we use a fixed level. For example, if I am going to handle 100 pallets for a customer, I am going to say a certain price, like 100k dollar per month, if the load is, for example, 100 pallets per day. So that's called closed book contract. Or it could be a hybrid also. It all depends upon your agreement with the warehouse as well as your customer. Of course, though sometimes it looks commercial, you should also be in a position to understand this requirement and accordingly load to the customer. Okay, so let me go back to the next. So, with this, we are closing this particular topic for today. And if you are looking for even certification of this program, it is possible. But subject to certain condition, you have to take a online multiple choice test. Subscribe to our channel, watch all our videos, like or comment, and then there is a possibility of a certificate, and also available at a very nominal price. Here we are not going to make any money out of it, but to encourage, motivate the people to have some seriousness. Okay, so you can also ask any questions. If you have any question, you are welcome to ask. Those who are watching live, you can ask. It's a YouTube exclusive program. So if there is any questions, you are always welcome to reach out to me. You also have the WhatsApp numbers given. So through our executive, you can also talk to me or reach to me. So any questions, you can comment on YouTube if you are watching in YouTube. If you are watching offline, you are also welcome to comment or chat in our YouTube channel so that you can get a proper response. Thanks for watching. Bye.